Senator Clinton did get an important semi-endorsement today for her health plan, while John Edwards and his wife Elizabeth have so far not said who they might support in the Democratic primaries. Elizabeth Edwards this morning said she has, quote, more confidence in Clinton's health care plan than Obama's. That policy endorsement and her addition to the ranks of a largely Clintonian think tank, the Center for American Progress, today fueling speculation that both Mrs. Edwards and perhaps her husband had decided to back Clinton, and just as much speculation being fueled that this is as close as they will actually get to an endorsement until after a nominee has been chosen by the Democratic Party. Joining us now to address that dangling if true and such and many other things, Elizabeth Edwards. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. But I want to go through the specifics of the health care issue here between the two candidates and your reaction to them in a moment. But I must ask you the politics first. Was that an endorsement today? Does it presage an endorsement?
No, I was answering a direct question, and I don't have much political capital to spend, Keith, and I want to spend it on the ideas I care about. So if I support one candidate's ideas over another, then I'll express that. I keep getting asked the difference between these two candidates and their policies, and on health care, I prefer Senator Clinton's to Senator Obama's. The difference that's more important to me is the difference between Senator McCain's proposed plan, with the ideas of either of the Democratic candidates. And you're talking about narrower differences between the Democrats, and then this gulf, as I was describing earlier, a solar system of difference between what Senator McCain is suggesting for health care and what these candidates are suggesting.
Well, it's a difference between an emergency room and a Band-Aid. And you took him to task about this online. The health care plan that he has proposed, you're both cancer survivors. It would cover neither of you. How is it that has not gotten enough attention?
But I don't think the policies of Senator McCain have gotten certainly his domestic policies, gotten very little attention, either from the media or the candidates. I guess I was never much educated much by the Republican debates, but certainly not on these domestic policies. And it's not going to require coverage of pre-existing conditions. It's actually a really radical change in what we do on health care. For example, employer-based health care, where most of us get our coverage, that could be eviscerated and replaced with tax credits. A $5,000 tax credit may cover some people, but it won't cover all people. And the chance of this covering health care for a family, as your employer-based coverage presently might, is pretty slim. So people are going to find their coverage cut back if you have pre-existing conditions, not just cancer, a heart condition, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, any pre-existing condition. You're very likely to find health care to be out of your price range.
So is the McCain evisceration plan and this entire contrast to the Clinton plan, the Obama plan, is this thing happening? Is the McCain thing getting a pass because among the Democrats it's still Obama versus Clinton as opposed to Democrats versus McCain?
Certainly when we have a candidate, and there should be plenty of time after that point to make the case, and more Americans will be turning their attention to the race, so we'll be able to make it clearer then. But, I'm a little disappointed that the press hasn't helped the American people come to terms with what these plans will mean in their real life. Maybe it's a fault of the candidates. We bear some responsibility in not being able to make things clear, but some responsibility also for the press for not. And I've been to Senator McCain's website. If you read the plan that's described on the website, it all sounds, it's a great big Hallmark card. All sounds great. Cut costs, more competitive, more people will get access. But that's not actually the way it works. You have to work through the details to find this out. So the American public is going to depend on the press and the candidates who oppose Senator McCain to make it clear.
All right, well, it's obvious that you have done your homework, and by extension, you're doing a lot of other people's homework in analyzing these campaigns, and you did say you have more confidence in Senator Clinton's than Senator Obama's. For those of us who are not as in-depth on this as you are, give me the highlights. What are the differences? Because Senator Obama, in each of the 20 debates so far, and no doubt next week, will again say that they're essentially the same plan. Are they not essentially the same plan?
In a lot of the details, and he can certainly quote a lot of details that are the same between these plans. But a very essential ingredient is whether, or, in my view, is whether or not it is a universal plan, whether it covers everybody. In order to cover everybody, it means everybody has to buy health insurance. Senator Clinton has suggested that she would help people buy health insurance. In fact, Senator Obama has suggested he would help people buy health insurance if they couldn't afford it. But he's not going to require people to buy it. In my view, that means that we don't get the advantage of some cost savings. You know, the hospitals are still, because they need to stay in the black, they're still going to need to charge people $25 for an aspirin or $50 for a bottle of water. Those kinds of things have happened. As long as there are uninsured people, they're going to need to do cost shifting and will not be able to get the cost down for everybody. There are other reasons that are complicated, I think, but related to the market and the healthcare pools that I think make it really important that we have these mandates. But I'm convinced that a healthcare policy without the mandates is only half a policy.
Last question, and then we'll let you go with our thanks. But combine everything here for me between the issues and having stayed out of the endorsement game, that old song lyric about if you do not choose, you still have made a choice. What if not endorsing helps one of these Democratic candidates more than the other?
My ideal is to have every candidate. When John first announced his policies, what he was hoping to do, it'd be great if he was the only one and everybody gravitated towards John. But really the best of all worlds is that everybody adopted the policies, because we really care less about the human being that who occupies the office than we do that human being embraces these policies, embraces. You were talking earlier, I heard something about the Senator Obama criticizing Senator McCain's embracing George Bush's tax cuts. He goes further than that. He has corporate tax cuts. These health insurers we're talking about, nearly $2 billion in tax cuts. The oil industry, 5 top oil companies, $3.8 billion. Does the federal government really need to continue to give tax breaks to oil companies? But I'm able to make that conversation to try to urge the candidates to these positions, because I don't have a dog in the race. I only care about the issues. So I actually think it makes me freer, gives me a little more freedom to urge. You know, honestly, if John McCain wants to endorse a universal health care plan tomorrow, you know, I'll say that that's a great health care plan.
Well, we're not holding our breaths about that, but what a wonderful thought.
Neither am I. Neither am I.
Elizabeth Edwards, it is always a pleasure visiting with you, whether it's on the air or off. Great thanks and all the best.
Thanks, Keith.